William Barclay has, as always, much to say on this parable, and one comment he makes is that those who remain deaf to the invitation of Jesus are not necessarily bad people. They are the ones that have the things of the world on their minds. In the story they went about their business, we are told, one to his farm, one to his shop. Here's another story, also from the United States, which was reported in the German newspaper Die Zeit a few years ago. Reverend Lyndon Harris was vicar of St. Paul's Church in New York, close to the Twin Towers, a beautiful church in the Trinity Diocese. On that memorable day, September the 11th, 2001, Bishop Matthews was visiting St. Paul's when the disaster struck. The Twin Towers were hit and collapsed. The church, thankfully, was undamaged, and the bishop, who had important business in one of the southern states, was able to catch his flight. Look at our second picture. Lyndon Harris then opened up his church to be a rest centre for the injured, the rescue workers, and for bereaved and distraught relatives. He brought in a cooking stove, made soup, and brewed coffee for all who came in. Some while later, Bishop Matthews returned to St. Paul's and was horrified. That lovely place was thick with the dust and dirt of the ruined towers. There was mud and possibly blood on the carpet, dirty coffee cups and bowls everywhere. And worst of all, there was a stove filling the place with cooking smells rather than the scent of incense. The bishop took action. The Reverend Lyndon was dismissed on the grounds of improper use of a church building and for contravening health and safety regulations, and he was warned that if he applied for a ministerial post anywhere in the United States, he would find his application blocked. The bishop was one who went about his bishop's business. Reverend Lyndon Harris, as a servant of God, invited all who needed it to come in to a feast of soup and bread and hot coffee. It was an act of grace. The whole parable is the story of an act of grace. And William Barclay says, "Those who are gathered in from the highways and byways had no claim on the king and no right to a royal invitation. It came from the warm-hearted, open generosity of the king. It was grace which offered the invitation, and grace which gathered them in." Let's hear our second reading from Matthew 22, verses 11 to 14.